Hi there, Amit. I'm very happy to see that you've written a task 2 for us. Let's see what you did. It's an interesting topic. Let's see. Some people believe that they should be able to keep all the money they earn and should not have to pay tax to the state. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Let's see what you said. Several people deem that it is their right to keep all the money they earn, and they also believe that they should not contribute any part of their money for the government tax. According to me, all citizens must pay tax regularly to the government without any failure. Okay, there's some good things happening here. It's very clear. It's short and sweet and to the point. It's, not overly analyzed, so good. 2 things I want to change. I want to change the word several because you're really limiting the number of people who think this when you use the word several. A better word here would be some. Okay? And then also according to me is not really correct. We use according to when we're referring to somebody else, but not to ourselves. So you could say as far as I am concerned, or in my opinion, this would be a better way to express this, okay? Let's move on. Okay, first thing here to initiate with, that's not a beginning for a paragraph. You could say to begin, and that would be fine. Or you could say firstly. This would be a better choice here. So let's replace that with firstly. So firstly, the tax, not the tax, just tax. So firstly, tax should be mandatory for all the earning individuals. Okay, there's firstly, right there. Firstly, the governments operate many services like banks, education, and emergency services is what you want to say, but you already said services. Let me think. What could you say instead? Firstly, the governments operate many services like banking, education, and maybe medical? I don't know. Emergency just sounds a little strange to me. And all these services need finance to maintain and run them. Not it, them. Their services. The money to operate these services the money comes, from 2 sources, which are public tax and profit from the services provided. All right, check it out. You've now had like 3 sentences, and I've seen the word service like 4 times. So you've got services, 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 services. Let's try to either use a synonym or to use some sort of a pronoun or potentially to rephrase the sentences so that you don't have to keep repeating the same word again. All right? So for example, you could have said here, the money to operate these comes from 2 sources, which are public tax and profit from, and then you could say the services. It's not that bad, but really do try to at least eliminate 1 or 2 of these times of service, okay? The failure to pay tax by the public will put many constraints on government operations, and eventually the public will have a great hassle. Secondly, the tax is also important for the security of the country. The money for country security comes from tax. All right, well, isn't this repetitive? So, yeah, I would not have written this sentence at all. Instead, let's just say, secondly, tax is important. Tax money, or tax is important for this. You know what? I'm having a problem with the tax and tax. So maybe taxes are important for the security of the people as the money collected is used for this purpose. Okay? That's a better way of saying that. No? If people it should be refrain from paying tax, it will jeopardize national security. Finally, well, I really feel like all this is a little repetitive. Instead, I would prefer it if you could give me an example. Like, say for example, that the military and the police forces' salaries are paid from taxpayer money, or the purchase of new defense systems are paid through tax money. So say something like that. Rather, I just feel like you're saying the same thing in 3 different sentences. Okay. Finally, we cannot rely on the private sector to provide all services. For example, this is not a sentence. Okay. So for example, I don't know how to make this a sentence. You could have said, one example of this is producing medicines. The private sector puts emphasis on profit, and they might squander public money, whereas the government has strict regulations and they rarely fail in providing, they rarely fail, not barely. They rarely fail in providing flawless services, especially when it comes to medicine. You didn't need that second comma there, the one after it, especially, okay? Hence, to keep all government services alive with an A, we must pay tax. However, some individuals deem that if they pay tax, they save nothing. Moreover, tell me why. Extend that a little bit. Don't just leave it like that. They also assert that if they earn their money by immense hard work, okay, let me try that again. Moreover, they assert that they earn money by hard work and therefore they should keep it. Furthermore, they also reckon that the governments provide them mediocre services. Therefore, they believe that they should not give their contribution to tax. To sum up, although some people are reluctant to pay tax, they must pay it because the country's management relies majorly on public tax, which is substantial for the development of the country. Any hindrance in paying tax will not be beneficial to any country. Okay, fine. So, I think I really elaborated quite extensively on this paragraph, so what I want to do now is tell you some other things that I would like you to look at. Let's see. The order of these paragraphs was incorrect. Since this is the paragraph you support, it has to go second. It has to go closer to your conclusion. Okay? Which means that you have to reverse the order of these paragraphs. The second issue that I want you to look at is the length of your paragraphs. Look at how extensively you develop this paragraph and how little and tiny this is. It's the same size as your conclusion and your introduction. So that's not okay for a body paragraph. What I want you to do is I want you to try to balance the length of these paragraphs as much as is reasonable and as much as possible, because this definitely felt to me really, really underdeveloped. Okay? It almost felt like a list. Like you gave me like 3 reasons why people don't want to pay tax, and that was it. Whereas here you went through tons and tons of development and support and so forth. So that's what I'd like you to do. You need to reverse them and you need to extend this one considerably. But there are some nice things here in this essay. You've done some nice things. I would like to see more of your work. I think that if we continue to work together, you can overcome some of these difficulties that I see in your writing. So please look into which option to work with us suits you best. As you'll see from the site, there are several. So take a look. I hope we will see more work from you in the future. Good luck to you, and I look forward to seeing more of your essays.